When it comes to weapons, the line between effective and insane is razor thin. We're used to tanks and planes, but throughout history, military engineers armed with unlimited budgets and the ambition to defy physics have created monsters that probably shouldn't exist. They are too big to hide, too loud to move, and too powerful to be practical. Today, we're counting down the top 10 military vehicles that should have been banned for their sheer audacity. What do you think is the biggest tank ever? You're wrong. Comment the machine you think is the most monstrous right now and see if it made this list. And if you love massive machines, hit subscribe because this video is for you. Opening our list is an American moving fortress, the T28 Super Heavy Tank. This isn't a tank, it's a bunker buster. Designed in World War II to breach Germany's Siegfried Line, the T28 weighed in at a staggering 105 US tons, 95 metric tons. For comparison, an M4 Sherman weighed only about 33 tons, 30 metric tons. The reason it should be banned? Its absurd design. It was too heavy, too slow, and had no turret. It was essentially a giant cannon strapped to an impenetrable block of steel, an extreme idea born from a desperate era of war. It was built to absorb any punishment the Germans could throw at it and return fire with overwhelming force. The T-28's immense weight came from its 12-inch, 305mm thick frontal armor, making it virtually immune to every anti-tank weapon of its time. It was armed with a potent 105mm T5E1 cannon, powerful enough to obliterate any bunker. But what was the cost? A top speed of just 8 miles per hour, 13 km/h. Its 500-horsepower Ford V8 engine, borrowed from the Pershing tank, struggled hopelessly to move this massive steel. It was so slow that infantry could easily outpace it. This was not a blitzkrieg weapon, it was an armored slug moving at a glacial pace. The T-28's oversized nature was fully expressed in its mobility system. It required 4 sets of tracks just to distribute its immense weight. While this helped with ground pressure, it made the tank a logistical nightmare. It was too wide for standard bridges or transport ships. For transport, the 2 outer tracks had to be unbolted and towed as a separate trailer. This process took at least 4 hours. Only 2 T-28s were ever built. The war ended before they could see combat, making the T-28 an expensive lesson in how bigger isn't always better. If the T-28 was the immovable object, this is the machine built to move it. Meet the Maus 537, the Soviet 888 monster transporter. Developed in the late 50s, the Maus 537 isn't a normal truck. It's a heavy equipment transporter, HET. Its mission: to haul the heaviest things in the Soviet arsenal, tanks, ballistic missiles, and other heavy equipment across the worst terrain on Earth. It was the backbone of the Red Army's strategic logistics, a machine designed to never stop, regardless of terrain or weather. It was a symbol of Soviet industrial might. Hidden behind the 4-man cab is one of the loudest and thirstiest engines ever built, a 38.8-liter V12 diesel engine. Yes, you heard that right, 38.8 liters, a displacement typically found in a ship or a locomotive. This engine produced 525 horsepower, and its deafening roar could be heard from miles away. It was capable of pulling a trailer weighing up to 70 US tons, 65 metric tons. Its full-time 888 drivetrain and independent suspension allowed it to conquer mud, snow, and swamps, but this capability came at an enormous cost. But why is it excessive? Because of its insane thirst. The Maus 537 gets less than 2 miles per gallon, 125 liters, 100 kilometers. It's a logistical nightmare, requiring its own convoy of fuel trucks just to support its operation. In military operations, its sheer importance made it a high-priority target. Its noise, complexity, and massive operating costs make it a prime example of Soviet brute force engineering, where fuel efficiency was completely disregarded in favor of raw power and absolute reliability. If the Maus 537 was the Soviet butcher, The U.S. Army has its own answer, the Oshkosh M1070 HET. This is the modern, bigger, and even more powerful version. The M1070 is America's primary heavy equipment transporter, designed for one purpose: to haul the 77-ton, 70-metric-ton M1 Abrams tank anywhere. When you combine the M1070 tractor with the M1000 trailer, the entire system is nearly 100 feet long, 30 meters, and rolls on a combined 50 wheels. This isn't a truck, it's a road-going train, and it dominates any highway it travels on. Its power comes from a 700-horsepower diesel engine in the A1 variant, allowing it to move a combined gross weight of over 110 U.S. tons, 100 metric tons, down the highway. But its excessive strength lies in its off-road capability. This vehicle doesn't just stick to pavement, it's designed to follow the tanks into rough terrain. It can be equipped with dual winches with a combined pulling capacity of 55,000 pounds, 25 metric tons, enough to rescue itself or pull a mired tank free. It is an engineering beast built for the most extreme conditions. The complexity of the M1070 makes it a machine banned from civilian life. Its 8A8 drivetrain, central tire inflation system, and complex hydraulics require incredibly specialized maintenance. It's too big for most roads, too heavy for most bridges, and its operating cost is astronomical. Driving an M1070 in a city would be like trying to pilot a destroyer in a pond. The M1070 is the definition of the excessive force required in modern warfare. There are oversized machines, and then there are just plain weird machines. The Soviet Zil E167 belongs to the second category. Imagine you need a vehicle that can conquer Siberia, a place with no roads, only meters of deep snow and freezing temperatures. The Soviet engineer's answer was this 6E6 monster. Featuring wheels that were nearly 6 feet, 1.8 meters tall, the Zil E167 was an unstoppable vehicle. It looks like something out of a science fiction movie, a machine designed to colonize an ice planet. To power these 6 enormous wheels, engineers used not one but 2 7.0-liter V8 engines, mounted in the rear, each producing 180 horsepower. It had a 238-gallon, 900-liter fuel tank, and for a good reason, its fuel consumption was roughly 2.3 miles per gallon, 100 liters, 100 kilometers. Its fiberglass and steel chassis provided over 3 feet, nearly 1 meter, of ground clearance, allowing it to crawl over 3-foot-tall, 1-meter obstacles and plow through deep snow without issue. Despite its incredible performance, the Zil E167 was ultimately too complex, too loud, and too expensive. Maintaining 2 engines and its incredibly complicated dual drivetrain was a nightmare. The 7-ton machine could hit 40 mph, 65 km/h on land, but it never saw mass production. Only one prototype was ever built. It wasn't a truck, it was a crazy science experiment on wheels, too extreme even for the Cold War-era Russians who were famous for their bizarre vehicle designs. If the Zil E167 failed for being too complex, the Russians decided to make something even more complex. This is the Vitiaz DT-30 PM, an articulated land centipede. It's an all-terrain tracked transport. Essentially, it's 2 tracked vehicles linked by a hydraulic joint, allowing them to function as one unit. With a 33-ton, 30-metric-ton payload capacity, the DT-30 was designed to carry soldiers, anti-aircraft missiles, or radar systems to the most inaccessible places in the world, the swamps of Siberia and the Arctic tundra. Its 710-horsepower engine, a multi-fuel V12 variant taken from the T28 tank, powers all 4 of its wide rubber tracks. This 2-body design gives it incredible maneuverability. It can cross trenches over 13 feet, 4 meters wide, and climb steep inclines. But what makes it truly overpowered is its amphibious capability. This entire 33-ton machine, plus its payload, can swim across rivers or lakes at 3 mph, 5 km/h, with no preparation. It simply refuses to be stopped by anything. The banned nature of the DT-30 lies in its sheer size and its go-anywhere ability. Its ground pressure, thanks to those 4 massive tracks, is lower than a human footprint. This means it can drive over swamps, thin ice, or deep snow without sinking. It is an unstoppable monster that breaks all the rules of terrain. For the DT-30, the concept of impassable simply doesn't exist. It's a nightmare for any defense planner, as it can attack from directions no one would ever expect. We've seen the ground pounders, now let's look to the sky. This is the Mi-26, the largest, heaviest, and most powerful helicopter ever to go into mass production. Its NATO reporting name is Halo, and it absolutely earns it. When it hovers overhead, it blots out the sun. To give you perspective, its main rotor diameter is 105 feet, 32 meters, roughly the same as the wingspan of an early Boeing 737. It is an incredible feat of engineering and a terrifying sight. The Mi-26 was designed to do the impossible. It can carry 44,000 pounds, 20 metric tons of cargo inside its cavernous hold, equivalent to 90 fully armed troops, or sling load 44,000 pounds externally. It is so powerful that during a mission in Afghanistan, a Russian Mi-26 was hired to retrieve a downed American CH-47 Chinook helicopter. It airlifted a heavy-lift helicopter with an even heavier lift helicopter. It was also famously used to drop shielding materials onto the Chernobyl nuclear reactor after the disaster. Its 2 turbine engines produce a combined 22,000 horsepower. The noise and the downwash from its rotors can flip cars, collapse small structures, and topple trucks. It is too big, too loud, and incredibly expensive to maintain. The Mi-26 isn't just a helicopter, it's a flying crane, a flying fortress, a machine that defies gravity through sheer brute force. It is a testament to what engineers can do when cost is no object. From the sky, we go to the sea. If the Mi-26 is the biggest helicopter, this is the world's largest non-aircraft carrier warship, the Russian Kirov-class Battlecruiser. This isn't a ship. It's a floating nuclear-powered arsenal. At 827 feet, 252 meters long, and displacing over 30,000 U.S. tons, 28,000 metric tons, it's larger than a World War II battleship. And it was built for one purpose: to hunt and destroy American aircraft carrier groups. The reason it's overpowered lies in its armament. The heart of the Kirov is its 20 P-700 Granite supersonic anti-ship missiles. These missiles are 1,500-pound, 7-ton monsters that can carry a nuclear warhead and travel at Mach 2.5. A single granite hit is enough to sink a destroyer. In addition, it carries hundreds of anti-aircraft missiles, torpedoes, cannons, and anti-submarine systems. It is truly a battleship in every sense, capable of taking on an entire fleet by itself. Powered by 2 nuclear reactors, the Kirov has a virtually unlimited range. It can circle the globe multiple times without refueling. Its very existence was a constant threat during the Cold War and carrier killer that the U.S. Navy had to account for. A ship that is too big, too expensive, and too terrifying. The Kirov is the pinnacle of naval confrontation, a steel god of war that no one wants to face, and an oversized weapon from a bygone era. During the Cold War, U.S. spy satellites spotted something bizarre on the Caspian Sea. It was 302 feet, 92 meters long, bigger than a Boeing 747. It had wings, but it didn't fly high. It skimmed the water at over 310 miles per hour, 500 km/h. They had no idea what it was, so they nicknamed it the Caspian Sea Monster. Its real name was the Ekranoplan KM, a vehicle that should be banned because it broke every definition of a vehicle. It wasn't a plane and it wasn't a boat. It was something in between, something fast and something terrifying. The KM was a ground effect vehicle. It didn't fly, it flew in ground effect, riding on a cushion of air just 15 to 30 feet, 5-10 meters, off the water to reduce drag. To achieve this, it required 10 jet engines. 8 engines were mounted forward to blow air under the wings for initial lift, and 2 were on the tail for cruising. This 600-ton, 544-metric-ton beast was a roaring, screaming nightmare of engineering. This monster was designed to be a stealthy missile transport and attack craft. By flying so low, it was invisible to enemy air defense radar. By flying so fast, it was impossible for submarines or torpedoes to catch it. It was a genius yet utterly insane idea. The noise from 10 jet engines was unimaginable. It consumed fuel at a horrifying rate and was incredibly difficult to control, especially in rough seas. The Caspian Sea Monster remains one of the weirdest, most intimidating, and overpowered military projects ever built. We arrive at the runner-up, and it's a legendary machine, the Panzer VIII Maus. The name was a cynical joke by the Nazis because this is the heaviest tank ever built in human history. Weighing in at 207 U.S. tons, 188 metric tons, it was 3 times heavier than a King Tiger tank. The Maus was the ultimate expression of Hitler's obsession with gigantic weapons, the Wunderwaffen. It was designed not just to win a battle, but to crush enemy morale under its sheer, impossible weight. The Maus was engineered as an indestructible mobile fortress. Its armor was up to 9.5 inches, 240 millimeters, thick at its strongest points, making it completely impervious to every Allied anti-tank round of the era. It was armed with a massive 128mm main cannon, derived from an anti-aircraft gun, and a coaxial 75mm cannon. Its firepower could destroy anything on the battlefield. In theory, a Maus could park in the middle of a city and nothing could be done to stop it. But its excessive size is precisely what killed it. The Maus was so heavy that no bridge in Europe could support it. To cross rivers, it had to snorkel, using a complex system to drive underwater. Its engine could only push this steel behemoth to a top speed of 12 mph, 20 km/h on a good road. And its fuel consumption, it burned nearly 15 gallons per mile over 100 km. Only 2 prototypes were partially completed before the factory was captured by the Red Army. The Maus was a colossal engineering mistake, a weapon too powerful to be practical. And finally, number 1, if you thought the Maus was insane, you haven't seen anything yet. Meet the Landkreuzer P 1000 Ratte. This was not a tank, this was a land cruiser. This was a serious project theoretically approved by Hitler in 1942, and mercifully it never left the drawing board. If built, the Ratte would have been humanity's worst nightmare. It is the ultimate embodiment of hubris, a weapon that should have been banned from the moment it was conceived. The numbers for the Ratte are simply absurd. Projected weight, 100 U.S. tons, 1,000 metric tons. It would be 115 feet, 35 meters long, 46 feet, 14 meters wide, and 36 feet, 11 meters high. It would have moved on 6 4-foot wide, 1.2-meter tracks, like those on a mining excavator. Its armor would be nearly 10 inches, 250 meters thick. And the main weapon, a literal naval turret taken from a Gneisenau-class battleship, armed with 2 11-inch 28 cm cannons. It would also carry a 128mm cannon like the Maus, 8 anti-aircraft guns, and multiple machine guns. The Ratte should be banned because it is the definition of impracticality. It was too big and would have destroyed every road it crossed and collapsed every bridge. It would be comically slow, making it the perfect, unmissable target for any bomber pilot. It would require a crew of 40 men. It needed 2 24-cylinder U-boat, submarine diesel engines just to move. The Ratte wasn't a weapon, it was a mobile fortress, an insane waste of resources, and a symbol of frenzied ambition, a weapon too big, too loud, too powerful, and thankfully, never real. From the 100-ton Ratte to the Caspian Sea Monster to the 105-ton T28 Fortress. These aren't just vehicles, they are monuments to limitless human ambition. They were too big, too loud, and too powerful, but they remind us that sometimes bigger isn't better. Which machine impressed you the most? And did we miss any monsters? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video if you found it interesting and subscribe to join us as we explore more incredible machines. See you next time.